What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to some more Injustice 2 news. I am your host, as always, the ever excited for new character patch notes, Ragnarok, once again bringing it to you live here from the apartment. And unless you've been under a rock in the NRS community, then you must know that there has been a November patch. They had a stream on the NetherRealm channel yesterday on Twitch where they went over about 10 different characters and some adjustments they had been making for the last however long they've been working on it. And just today, we were gifted with the full patch notes from Warner Brothers. Now, today I'm only going to talk about Scarecrow because he's the character I'm most concerned with, obviously, as he's my main. If you don't play Scarecrow, then you can find the patch notes for Warner Brothers listed down in the comments, or sorry, in the description below. And of course, if you have any questions about some of the terminology that they use in those patch notes, because really it's not common knowledge for the casual player, it's really more for the competitive side of things, then feel free to leave your question in the comments below and I'll see if I can get to it as soon as I can. Before we get into the video, before we get too far into this, I do want to send a special shout out to @IamRyanLittle on Twitter. That's also his YouTube channel, I believe, for providing the track Aqua. It's a remix he did of the Donkey Kong Country underwater theme. I forget which level it was, but one of my favorite songs. So definitely check him out on Twitter. Hit his channel with a follow and subscribe. Show the guy some love. He does a lot of excellent music. Now, to get into Scarecrow. So I'm going to pull up the patch notes here and we're going to go through them one by one. It's not going to be a super long video because Scarecrow didn't get a lot of adjustments. I'm just going to show you guys what changed and provide kind of a small video demonstration of what you can look forward to when the patch hits the PS4 community next Tuesday. Let's get into it. Above me, you'll notice all of the changes that Scarecrow received in the November patch. We're going to go down this list one by one and I'll try to explain everything to the best of my ability. So the first bullet point, Scarecrow's character power base damage is increased from 1.5 up from 1.0, hit with damage ticking every 90 frames up from 60. This is what's known as a buff. It means the character has gotten better. Now, the simple explanation to this is I'll show you here. So when Scarecrow activates his trait, you guys know he gets a cloud of fear gas over him that deals damage over time to the opponent when they're standing by. As of right now, using Deadshot as an example, Scarecrow gets 15 ticks of 13.7 damage. Altogether, it adds up pretty nicely. You can also see how fast the damage gets added on when you stand next to somebody. What this buff is explaining is that basically the damage is going to increase per tick, but the ticks are going to be more spread out. So I don't know if it's going to end up doing more damage if he's, assaulting the other character or standing next to them, or if it's going to be about the same. We'll have to wait until next week, unless you know an Xbox Scarecrow player who can test it out right now. Because as of now, the Xbox players do have access to the patch. I believe the PS4 players will be getting it next week after E-League for the sake of having a more balanced competition. But that's basically what that means. The ticks are going to do more damage, but they're going to be spread out over a longer period of time. Not by a whole lot. 30 frames isn't really all that long, so it might do more damage. We'll have to wait and see. Point number 2. Character power does reduce damage 2 out of 3 while Scarecrow is in hit stun. This is a nerf. It means something that the character had was made a little worse. Not really that bad of a nerf, but the casual explanation to this is that Scarecrow's fear toxin is going to do less damage if the opponent is hitting him, which I think is kind of a fair trade-off because there are a lot of instances, even in my matches you guys have seen that I've uploaded here to the channel, where I'll activate trait and then turtle up next to an opponent, and if they open me up with a jump in or a mix up, it doesn't matter because they're still dying and they're dying quickly. This is going to give the opponents a chance to possibly kill Scarecrow before the damage over time kills them because they'll be taking less damage. So not bad. I think that's fair, especially if it's going to do more damage if you're hitting them. So it's going to kind of balance out. Number 3, here is the big one, possibly, not even possibly, this is in my opinion the biggest buff that Scarecrow received. Panic Port Startup is now 14 frames, down from 21, and has 27 recovery frames, down from 29, and becomes projectile invulnerable after 6 frames. So if you've been playing Scarecrow for at any point in time during the lifespan of this game, you'll know how frustrating it can be to try and teleport around a projectile, like say Black Adam's low lightning, have Scarecrow disappear off camera and still get hit. It's very frustrating. His teleport, in my opinion, was one of the worst that I've ever seen in a fighting game. 21 frames is kind of slow, and 29 frames of recovery, which is what it has now, I'll show you guys, means that while he can get around projectiles, he typically has so much recovery, he can be down 1 punished on some of the faster recovering characters, like say Green Arrow, Dr. Fate, Deadshot, Batman, etc., etc. So what this buff is doing is it's making his teleport start up a lot faster and recover just a little bit sooner. So he might not get full combo punishes around some of the faster projectile characters, but it means he might be able to sneak in a down 1, or at the very least not get punished for teleporting around their projectile. So I'll take it. That is a major buff. I've been asking for a Scarecrow teleport adjustment since this game came out, and I'm very happy to have gotten it. Now, for those of you who maybe don't really understand the difference in speed between 21 frames and 14, recently Rio, one of the more famous players in the FGC, was streaming the patch yesterday, I believe, and he demonstrated the teleport for me. So I clipped a little bit of what his stream demonstrated so that I could show you guys. So first things first, before I show the clip, if you haven't followed Rio on Twitter or on Twitch, I will leave the links to both of his outlets in the description below. Make sure you show him some support because he is the one who made these clips possible. This is Scarecrow's teleport in the current build of the game. Okay. This is Scarecrow's teleport after the patch has become effective.
Anyway, now let's look at Scarecrow. Teleport's a lot faster. Like, you can just see how fast it is now compared to before. What was the frame data on it? 14 frame startup now. His teleport starts up as fast as Deadshot shooting a bullet.
Pretty cool, right? I'm excited for that one. That's going to help Scarecrow get around a lot of good zoning. It's going to make that character very dangerous too. So we'll see how it plays out. It's too early to, top 5, top 10, top 3, whatever. But this might actually give Scarecrow the ability to have potential teleport setups for mix-ups on somebody's wake-up, or even have some fun swag combos using teleport. You never know. We'll have to see next week. Going down this list, so we covered Panic Port. Fixed Panic Port smoke visual effects, sometimes being misaligned if performed immediately following a jump. I guess at some point Scarecrow had a weird effect of where the smoke would be. I don't know, that never happened to me. Let's see, Panic Port can now be special canceled into Deathbed super move after he teleports. On the surface, this would seem like a pretty decent buff, because it means that the cancel frames that were listed in the frame data were not incorrect. But the problem is Scarecrow's super has like 35 frames of startup, so it's pretty slow and easily broken after. So I don't really know how useful that's going to be, because the teleport still recovers at a fairly decent rate. So it's cool. I'll take it for now. Maybe they might have some use later on, but on the surface, we're not really looking at that too heavily. Ground Shaker, which is Scarecrow standing 3. Let me demonstrate it for you real quick, for those of you who don't use this button at all. So, Ground Shaker, okay, standing 3, one of his command throw ticks, has now been made 15 frames from 17 frames and is active for 1 less frame. So, long story short, this button now comes out a little bit faster than it used to, which might be a good thing, really. I mean, any speed up is faster is good. Like after the restand on back forward 1, it's going to make the standing 3 mix up afterward a little bit easier because they won't be able to challenge it as much as they do. Just like if you do it after Fear Furno, it's going to be harder to challenge. Having it be active for 1 less frame, that bothers me a little bit because I like to use standing 3 as a good meaty attack, so when the opponents try to wake up with regular buttons, it stuffs it. But for it being 2 frames faster, I'm happy with that. I'm okay with that. Fixed issue with the view becoming obstructed during a forward throw in the corner of some arenas. That never happened to me, so cool. Scarecrow legendary traumatized meter burn attack is now unblockable. I don't play with gear, so I don't. That's cool though. I mean, whatever. So fully holding toxic breath while Black Adam hits Scarecrow with his character power sometimes causes Scarecrow to become unresponsive in some instances. That is very specific. Never happened to me, but cool. I'm fine with any bug fixes they give. So the long and short of this patch is that Scarecrow now has a faster teleport that recovers a little bit faster. His trait now does more damage over a longer period of time, possibly. We'll have to count the ticks when the game comes out, or when the patch comes out. His trait will do less damage if he's getting hit, which means you have to play more carefully if the opponent goes on the offensive. Just turtle up or try to look for an opening to counterattack. And his standing 3 is now a little bit faster, but active for 1 less frame. So these are all pretty good buffs. They're very good. Some might argue that they are unnecessary and Scarecrow didn't need to get buffed. And to those people, all I have to say is,
oh man, hate, 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 hate.
So while you're over there endlessly hating on the fact that Scarecrow got buffed, myself and the other Scarecrow players will be over here enjoying our new teleport to get around zoning. Thank you very much. Well, I've rambled on long enough. Time to wrap this video up. Once again, a couple shout outs. I am Ryan Little for providing the track Aqua. You'll find his channel in the description below. Shoutouts to Rio for being able to test Scarecrow's teleport on stream. You'll find links to his stuff down below. You'll also find links to my Twitter in case you want to follow me too. Much appreciated. The patch notes will also be in the description, so feel free to check those out. Again, sorry I couldn't go over every single character, but I would be here for an hour talking about characters I don't play, and you don't really want to see that. I don't want to do it. Let's just call it what it is. So, lucky Xbox players, you get the patch now. PS4 players will have the patch next Tuesday. I'm sure Hellboy will drop sometime around then, too. So you get to play Hellboy. We're excited about that. He looks fun. But I've rambled on long enough. If you found this explanation of terms and buffs and nerfs to be informative, then I always appreciate a thumbs up on the video and a subscription if you want to keep following for future content. If you have any questions about something in the patch, whether it's terminology, what does this really mean, leave them in the description or leave them in the comment section and I'll try to get to them as soon as I can. Until next time, guys, I will see you whenever we get some more Injustice 2 news, which should be Friday or Saturday, the 10th. Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern. They're doing the Fighter Pack 3, so we'll be checking that out. So I guess I'll see you guys Friday at 10. Cheers.